Hey everybody, welcome back to He Can't Craft, a quick channel about tools and stuff we craft with. Tonight, not really an unboxing, but a quick review of the M18 Fuel 16 gauge angled finish nailer. And I can't say enough about this. Usually I do an unboxing where I just kind of go through all the haul that I bought over this whole COVID thing, but this I bought for a specific reason, that is put trim around, put the trim back on after a refloor job. And I've got I don't know, like a 12 gauge or a small pin nailer, Bosch, which is very good. It's an air nailer, and I was going to have to go buy a smaller pancake compressor to get into the house that I'm working on. And I thought, well, I've got the Milwaukee battery system. These guys here. I'm lousy with these. And they offered the tool only Gen 1 at the Home Depot here recently for $249.99, something like that. It was like $50 off. And I bought that, and I put a couple of 2-inch finish nails through it, and it seemed to work fine, and I put it on the shelf because I didn't have a need for it. And not, if it was 3 days, it was a week later, the Gen 2 actually came out, and then a couple weeks later it was actually available at the Home Depot. So I boxed up, I saved the box, of course, boxed up the Gen 1, went down and said I want to trade it for the Gen 2, and the gal thought I was, is there anything wrong with it? And I'm like, well, it's the old one. I want the new one. And a couple advantages I'll go through of what I observed between the Gen 1 and now the Gen 2. Quick, I'll just move this out of the way. This is how it unboxes now. It's got a little bit more of a shapely design. It's still got the 20-degree angle. Something that sold me on it, more than just because it was new, were a couple features that the Gen 1 had. If it had them, they were in their different spot, or they weren't obvious at the time. But the main one is the release shoe right here. I don't have the battery on it, so I can fool around with it. This release shoe. And I didn't realize this till I looked at it closer. It's red, and it's rubber. The other one is more of a metal horseshoe on the Gen 1. So when it pushes against your surface, if that is a soft surface, it's going to maybe even leave a dent, whereas this one won't. And you're like, well, what if that little rubber doodle gets worn out? Which, like everything, it will. Flipping it over, you get two more. It looks like you get this off of here. Somehow these come off. I didn't show you how I took that off, but it took a screwdriver. Took a screwdriver to get this off. This one's a little bit of a wider flange that you'd put on the tip. It's a little bit different base shoe. This one appears to be just like the one that's on the tip that comes on it. So you get two of these and then this one extra wider one. And there's probably a good reason for this. Honestly, I have not read the manual to figure this out, but I saw that on there and I'm like, well, that's even, the rubber tip I think is better than the, for what I'm doing, for the metal, than the metal horseshoe. Safety guy here. And the additional replacement tips I think is another fantastic deal. Another item that I noticed was how the pin depth wheel works. I have it kind of set where I want it right now, so I'm not going to fool with it. On the other model, it seemed to be in a little bit different spot, which probably wasn't a huge deal. Another item that seemed to be kind of nice was these pads. So when you set it down, it sets down on the rubber back here and those pads, and then up here, you set it on this side, it sets on some rubber, so it's not going to mar the surface that you're working on. The loading is pretty straightforward. This slides back, doesn't really lock. These get loaded in to the back. That, slide them down a ways, and you pull that lever up, drop that down, and locks it in. What I did notice was I think I had it on its side and I bumped that, and if you do that, it won't fire the pin, but it will make a dent in your surface from where the driver hit it down. It has the mode selector switch right there on the front, excuse me, on the inside the handle. I think on the other one it was on the back side. So on this one it's here. You have single fire and multi-fire. What I find just fantastic is I just use it in single fire mode. Then if you jiggle it or something, you don't get a multi-fire, which for working on trim work is really, I think, very important. So let's put a battery in. Lightweight battery instead of the big honker one here to lighten the load a little bit. It obviously it is heavier than an air nailer, but you don't have the hose to deal with. Push that button and it turns on. It doesn't warm up. It does have a light, so you can kind of see the work surface or just light your way. I'll go prepare a surface and you can see how it works. So all I'll do is I'll show you how I've got this redone edging. So we had to cut for the corner around because the new hardwoods went up to the cabinets, and I wanted to put a closeout there. I had to do some cheesy work on that. These are mostly cleared off. Make sure they're clear. So obviously these are going to take some touch up with some caulking just to kind of make it nice, because we reuse the old trim to save a little cost. Getting them off in one piece was a challenge. Some are in multiple pieces and we've had to glue those back together. But here we have our corner that we're going to put together. It's a little loud. I have the microphone pointed backwards just for that reason, because it is loud. Oh. Safety glasses. I've had one misfire, and I think it's because the finish nail hit something in behind here in one of them and kicked back. So it's just, I mean, no hose, no air noise. It's a little bit loud. The pin depth isn't too bad. I'm going to go back and fill these since you can kind of see them. I don't want to go too far because I don't want to hit the nail set. I guess we can raise it up maybe a notch because I've got this long one to do here. Even raised it out a little bit. Another, I don't know what the degree of marking is. I don't want to have to go in and reset all these with a set. So. So there you have a quick demonstration of the Milwaukee Fuel 16 gauge angled finish nailer. Made short work of that little piece of molding, with the depth being able to be varied a little bit on the fly, like I think most of them do that. I can't say enough about this unit. It's maybe a little pricey, but without having to drag a compressor around and the hose, and those have some noise associated with it. Obviously, this does too, but I think for freedom of getting into somewhat tight spots, it is a little big. There's a spot in the other room that I just had to glue in anyway, but I would have had to have done that with the other, even the Bosch finish nailer that I've got. So I highly recommend this unit. Like, comment, subscribe. Any kind of feedback would be great. If your use is varied from this, I definitely give it 2 thumbs up. And thanks for watching, and keep on crafting.